Okay, welcome back to the adventures of Bruce and Bellany, trying to brave their way through the Tomb of the Serpent Kings. They did make it out, so that's good. I mean, a lot of things could have gone wrong there. Many roles could have gone a lot worse, and situations gone worse, so we made it out once. We're not done, though. Not really close to being done. Well, okay. So we said, what, there's 52 rooms, and we've been to 26 of them, I think. 27, maybe? So, yeah, we made it through about halfway. We are going to long rest now, bringing us back to where we need to be. And that should restore our snake as well. Good, good. Yes. Okay. So we're going to sell off our loot. So let's see, we have, again, it's a 15% drop, generally. Depending on where you're at, I might go worse than that. If you want to really haggle, if you have a character that likes to haggle, and you want to do it, you can get more than that, maybe. But usually, I'm not really ever going to allow higher than the market sort of rate. Because that means that really, like, the merchant you sell it to is going to have to work his ass off to get a profit out of it. So, yeah, I think 15% is pretty generous without screwing players out of money. But I could see going worse than that, I guess. If people wanted your party to have less cash on hand, you could go 50% as like a baseline. Again, I don't know if I ever saw a mention in Axe of, like, the expected thing of like a baseline for selling. Yeah, I mean, as far as treasure, like equipment and stuff, that's a whole other ball game. That's a 50% baseline for sure. Maybe, again, if you want to be cheaper, like a 20% baseline or something, like, it's got to be pretty cheap. Because it's generally worn and used and questionable, and yeah, it's hard to say. But I don't know if we're selling treasure. It might be in here somewhere. I don't think most games really even discuss it, to be honest. Maybe Tales of Argosa has it in the downtime section, maybe. Advancement, there's a black market trade. That's the black market. Browsing, gambling, events. Yeah, no, I guess not. I don't know, man. I guess most games don't really discuss it. I think probably there are plenty of games that just say that thing you picked up worth 200 gold, you sell it for 200 gold, call it a day. I guess it's interesting then that most games don't even seem to discuss it. Anyways, I stick with 15%. So, that's going to be for the disc, 85. For the silver and emerald snake god icon, that's 170. So 170 plus 85 is 255. Plus, let's say 8 for the gold scraps. Because there's sort of a labor cost involved there with what they have to work with it. So say 8 gold. So 263. Plus 85. Now we gotta go here. 263 plus 85. 348 plus what, like 42, I guess? Sure. Plus 17. We're at 407. And that's it. He was holding all our treasure. Okay, so 407 gold for all that. That's a tidy sum, we'll take it. Now that would require... Oh, the scrolls. Yeah, I mean, it's probably outside the scope of our adventure here. As far as finding someone to translate that. We are in town, so you could make some rolls and, you know, do like a gather info kind of thing, I suppose. And maybe try to see if someone in town is interested in it or can decipher it. It says the ravens might be valuable if translated or sold to the credulous. It does say one of them contains the true name of the succubus in the summoning room, which would be pretty interesting. Okay. Then I guess we'll try a gather info roll. I imagine the town they're in is not especially big, so there is going to be a decent penalty to this, or you could just say you need a great success, one of the two. Gather info is charisma or intelligence. Okay, well, he'll roll charisma. He'll ask around, flash his pearly whites and all that. He doesn't have gather info as a skill. Alright, we'll just say it's a -4. How about that? Okay. So no one in the town that he's talked to knows anyone that could translate this. Everyone's just like, yeah, I don't know, man. Probably have to go to a big city. So he's just going to dump that off at his home. All right. Other gear that we want to buy. Yes, there are things. Trixie is going to have to carry more shit, I think, is the point. And I don't know why NPC henchman stuff don't have an equipment pile. It would really help a lot because they can hold stuff. Yeah, I guess drag and drop any non-weapon equipment items. Okay, so she can carry these torches. Even though it doesn't show that there's 6. So I have to write that in manually. She could also carry all our food. And I want to make a change with food, actually. I'm revising. I don't like... I want to have a 1 ration system. But I defaulted... When I said, you know, I just want to have a 1 ration system... I defaulted to standard rations being the standard. I don't want that. And in fact, I think iron rations should be quite a bit more pricey. Because there is a lot of, like, you know, a lot more... It's 1 week of, like a 1 week supply of beef jerky. That's really fucking expensive. That's a lot of beef and time and effort involved to put that together. So I want to make that quite a bit pricier, which means that in a smaller place, like, you know, Grimsgate or whatever, a class 6 market, where you can't really get your hands on anything above 1 gold easily, I want that to be true. I want the merchant in a class 6 marketplace to not really have a week's supply of dried food on hand. And then I'm not going to have standard rations, because really what a standard ration is just what I bought with that other with a half-orc character. It's just food, really. You know, if you go look at the descriptions here for rations, standard ration is fresh food. While cheaper and tastier than iron rations, standard rations do not remain edible for long. 1 week in the wilderness and 1 day in dank dungeons. The cost for this food will vary depending on quality. Cheapest standard rations include fresh bread, cheese, and butter, lard, or oil. So, and you might say, well, Mang, that's the whole purpose of this being differentiated like this, is if they want to buy dried food, they buy iron rations, and if they want to buy fresh food, they buy standard rations. Which is true. But I want a one ration system where I don't have to keep track of how long it lasts. So really what this is likely to do is that players are just going to spend more money most of the time just to buy iron rations. Which is good. I think that's fine. But I do want, you know, like my other house rule, whereas if you cook fresh food instead of eating a ration, you get 2 hit points back a night instead of 1 when you're out in the wilderness. Which isn't much. I mean, I could increase that more, I suppose, but I don't want to... I mean, you could handle it a lot of different ways of, like, temporary bonuses. You know, you could have it so that if you eat fresh food, then the first roll of the next day you have a bonus on, or you have advantage on, or, you know, something like that, or... maybe if you eat fresh food, you actually get to roll a recovery roll. As if you took, you know, like half a short rest or something, you know, you get 1 recovery roll you can make. That could be something I could do. That would incentivize it. I also want to emphasize the difference outside of price, because again, I don't want to really track stuff as far as like longevity. It's just a bit too much. So iron rations basically last forever. Standard food essentially lasts forever. However, it takes up a lot more space. And that's something that Axe here does not differentiate. They weigh the exact same amount. But I imagine like a pound of beef and a pound of beef jerky. Or well, yeah, I suppose maybe that shouldn't take up the exact same volume, right? I could burn a tree and ask ChatGPT, I suppose. But I imagine, yeah, all the stuffs of making, you know, like fresh bread, cheese, butter, lard, oil, that should take up more space than like hardtack and beef jerky or like, I don't know, dried fruit. That's just me. So, what's the easiest way to do it? Triple, I guess, maybe? Like 1 week of fresh food for a person takes up like 3 slots. Maybe that's too harsh. That pretty much guarantees you got to get a mule or a cart or something, which is kind of fair. Either 2 or 3 slots. I'm not quite sure. I'm gonna go here. Let's see. How much volume is lost when converting 1 pound of beef into beef jerky? Like a percentage or something would be kind of... It's a lot of thinking. Roughly 70 to 80% of the original weight is lost. Yeah, 70 to 80%. That should be represented, I feel. So, fuck it. I'm going 3 slots. We don't track weight by stone and stuff, so it's a little bit trickier once you get down. So if you have like 1 ration left, it still takes up a slot compared to 7, but that's just because we don't want to get into the nitty-gritty, and people have to accept that You know, you got to take the good with the bad when making sacrifices like that. So yes, that's the new ration rule. I'm sticking with it. So we still have 7 weeks of iron rations. And I guess Trixie is going to hold on to that for us. She also needs her own rations, so I guess we're going to buy that. Do I want to set it at 5 gold? Maybe that's a little hefty. I want to set it so that 1 week of fresh food for one person costs about 5 silver. So I think 1 week of iron rations for one person is probably about 3 gold. Alright, so we're going to spend 3 gold. So we're down to 403 because of that. Times 21. Okay. I could just keep this list in the notepad. It's probably easier to do it that way. We'll have a special Trixie section. She's got 6 torches and 21 rations. So that takes up 4 slots for her. She only has 8 slots total, and she has to hold a lantern and stuff. So she can't really hold much. She's not a mule. She's not meant to be, but she's willing to take that stuff. Alright, which is good because it frees up a little bit of room for us. We're going to replenish my common oil, and we'll top up the lantern as well. So I want to have 8 hours capacity. So common oil costs 3 silver. So we'll buy, yeah, fuck it, 6 silver for that. And we want to buy thieves' tools, of course. So that's 407 minus 3 for the rations, minus 25 for the thieves' tools, minus 5 silver. Yeah, we really need a fucking... No, she's not holding the lantern. Why is this taking up slots? Okay, hold on. Lantern and common oil. Alright, that's it for Trixie. She can't hold anymore. Okay, good. Then you're gonna hold the thieves' tools for yourself, of course, of course. Excellent. So we got that. And then we wanted to buy probably armor for him, plate armor. Which is gonna... Yeah, it's gonna crowd him a little bit. That's gonna be an extra 3 slots. We can't afford masterwork or anything, so it is what it is. But we need Bruce to be beefy. And we want him to be beefy. Beefcake Bruce is what we're looking at. We're going to delete the ring mail. Plate armor. Which is plus 6. Okay. Yeah, it should be 0 slots. Oh no. 0 slots for the plate armor in case he unequips it. It already takes up room in his inventory with the dummy armor. Dummy armor 4, 5, 6. His pack gear is full. But 16 AC is not terrible. Why is it at 16? Oh, because I didn't change this. Doit. 17 AC. That's solid. And Bellany has 15, so not too bad. Do we want to buy anything else? Well, let me subtract 60 from this. 19. You're not... Well, yeah, the chicken. I guess we could buy a mule. I was thinking about the statues, and it was like, how would I get those statues out of there, you know? It's not easy. I don't think... even together we could lift 500 pounds, so I'm not really sure what you do without magic or something. I can get a mule down there, and I think... Yeah, mules have a maximum load of 500 pounds, meaning if he's not carrying anything, I guess we could strap the statue onto his back, and he could very slowly haul his way out of there. Right. So he would be moving expedition speed of 15, which is still a bit more than a human, I think. Yeah, I mean, it's more than Bruce. So I guess that is an option. We could carry those out, and those would be worth an exceptional amount of XP. Just as a refresher, 500 gold each, so that's 500 XP each. If we pull those out of there, we could buy 2 mules and bring them down for that purpose. It's not a bad idea, man. Not a bad idea. And mules are not that expensive, right? They're like 20 gold each, so that pays dividends. Yeah, I didn't declare exactly what settlement size we're in here, but I think... Well, unless it's a class 3, we can actually only buy 1 mule, which seems kind of crazy, right? Alright, well, I already bought the plate armor here, so we'll have to say it's a class 4. Not that big of a settlement, but it's... Class 4 is not bad. Class 4 is small cities, large towns, 3,000 to 8,750 inhabitants. That sounds about right. So we'll buy 1 mule. We will spend the 20. And buy a mule. And we'll also throw in some rope. You know, so that we can use that rope to strap down the statue. It seems a little ungainly. I mean, I don't know the exact logistics of how that'll work. But, you know, we'll strap it so it's sort of like... Not horizontally, but the other way. So he's not bumping into stuff. And it's, you know, mules have sort of relatively flat backs and stuff. So just lay it on the back and strap it on, and... It'll be hanging off the back end, and it'll be a little awkward for the mule, but we'll get him home, baby. We'll get him home. So that's another 1 gold. And then also the chicken, which is 1 silver, shockingly cheap. I don't see a listing here for like a small cage. Yeah, I don't see that listed. Because we're not just gonna carry a fucking chicken into the dun. We gotta have a little cage for it, otherwise it's gonna fly around all over the place. This is probably where I would just spitball as a DM, and we'll just say... Oh, I usually default to just like a gold. If I'm never sure and it doesn't seem too expensive, it's just a gold. So fuck it, 1 gold. Okay, we got our chicken, we got our mule, we got everything we need. I think we're mostly good. Except one other thing. Last time I said when we made it out that we're bit between a rock and a hard place. Between whatever this shadowy evil thing was in this other room that was on the ceiling, and the known threat, which was the giant stone statue monster in this arena. And I wasn't sure which one was really a better option. We're buying the chicken to lure out whatever's on the ceiling up there, which is the basilisk. But I did think of a pretty easy way. I mean, it's almost too easy and too obvious. I feel like if I was playing with a DM, he'd find some way to just fuck me over on it, but it just seems too logical. And that's the fact that it can't fit up the stairs. Well, it's two components, really. It can't fit up the stairs, and it's not immune to arrows. Bada bing, bada boom, you know. I don't see it as having that much intelligence or anything. It just attacks on sight anything that comes in. So, yeah, I mean, it'll just stand there and we'll just kill it with arrows and it can't hit us. It has no ranged attacks or anything like that. It can draw in a shield off the wall, but it can't throw it or something. I mean, maybe a DM would say, okay, it's going to start throwing shields at you, but that's not in the module. As written, it's dumb, you know? It's like a dumb machine, really. So, I don't see how that could possibly fail. I can't think of a good reason why it would fail, and if the players said that they're doing that, I'd say, yeah, okay. It's not like they get that much for it. I mean, they do get XP, because it is a pretty beefy monster. It's got 6 hit dice, which is pretty significant. It doesn't have any special abilities, so it's just 6 hit dice, but that's not nothing. That is going to be 320 XP. So that's pretty good. That's if we found an item worth 320 gold. You'd take that. Even if you'd say it's resistant to like piercing and slashing damage, still it's just a matter of time and arrows. I am gonna say though that we have to stock up on arrows in order to actually accomplish this, because it is not gonna. I think we said its AC was like 19. She only has a +3 to the roll, so she only has like a 20% chance of hitting it. So she's gonna need to spend some time and quite a few arrows. So I think a bundle of 20 arrows is like a gold. The universal price. Yeah, 1 gold. So fuck it, we'll just spend 5 gold. She'll buy 100 arrows. She's got her plan and she's gonna stick to it. So another -5. 292 gold gets added to Bruce. Yeah, I mean that's it. It seems, like I said, like almost too obvious and too easy, but fuck it. Because the stairs will have reset. I did think about the solution if they didn't reset, and that's literally just Bruce is at the top of the stairs, and Bellany has a rope tied around her waist so that she can just sort of hold on and just stand sort of on the ramp towards the bottom and keep shooting. But that's not going to be necessary because they'll reset and we can just step over the trigger. Okay? You know, sometimes simple solutions are the best solutions. It doesn't have to be some wild, crazy, elaborate scheme or something where we're desperately trying to, like, knock him over the chasm and, you know, hoping the dice rolls go, but it's like, but he can't fit in the stairs. Like, we can bottleneck him and, yeah. Now a DM, like I said, a DM probably, some DMs will definitely try to fuck you over with that. They'll just come up with something just to fuck you over so that you don't win easily. I don't approve of that. Again, the DM is a neutral arbiter. They should not ever care if you win easily, lose easily, win through an amazing plan, or lose through a giant fumble. They should be completely neutral in their arbitrations. That rarely happens, but that's the goal. So, yeah. There's nothing wrong with an easy victory. As long as the players, you know, wanted an easy victory. If afterwards they were like, "Oh man, I really thought you were gonna have that statue like fuck us over. I was a little bummed you didn't." Then it's like, all right, motherfuckers. I mean, if you want me to throw wrenches in the engine, then sure. If that's the game we want to play. But that can lead, you know, to this sort of combative situation, antagonistic situation between DM and players, and it's really not great. I don't know. Hard to say. All right, we set off back to the tomb. And we light up the lantern, so we're at 24, except to get back to this staircase, that's like 11 rooms, so we'll count down the torch twice. Remember, there are no wandering monster checks in the upper tomb, so it's perfectly safe. I know some people will restock dungeons, even, smaller dungeons like this. I've never restocked a dungeon. I've never been in a position where it's like, yeah, I probably should restock this dungeon. Usually that's kind of reserved for bigger dungeons that players will repeatedly go back to. For this one, yeah, I certainly wouldn't. So, just skip over that part. We get here, we have 22 turns left on the lantern, and we see that the stairs have reset. So we are going to actually light one of the torches. Yeah, get rid of this. We're going to light one of the torches so that she actually can see what she's shooting at. We're going to just toss it into the arena just to light up the statue. And Bruce will hold that. He'll go down first just in case. So we skip over the third step because we already know that that's pretty... Bruce saw the scratch marks the first time and then he still stepped on it. Or maybe he didn't. Maybe he missed it. I don't remember. But he definitely stepped on it. So we skip over that one, go down, and we toss the torch into the room, into the arena. And sure enough, the Stone Cobra Guardian is still there. And I guess it says it attacks on sight. So it's going to, draw a shield off the wall and start marching towards the staircase. And we immediately back up because, fuck. But yes, it is clearly too big to fit in this stairway. And this would have been just a question from the players, like when they were formulating, like, did it seem like that statue was too big to fit in, up the staircase? Because like if you were trying to run away or something, if you saw it and you were like, fuck this, and you immediately went back up, you'd very quickly realize you can't fit. So if we didn't go that way and we didn't see that he couldn't fit, then it's more of a question of like, do we think that he wouldn't fit? Which is, I suppose, what happened here. But yeah, he can't fit. The exact layout of the stairway here, and like how steep the angle is, what the arch doorway looks like, it's all a little nebulous. But it seems fairly open here, so I don't think she has to really crane her body to get a perfect angle on this thing. I think she can just start shooting. And yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, if we could just roll to see how long it would actually take, but I don't think it would take too long. It's she hits on a 16 or above, so I'll just roll 8d20. Okay, so she hit 3 times. And again, it has 6 hit dice, so that's 27 hit points. So if we just roll her weapon, which is 1d6 plus 2. 8 damage, 4 damage. So it's already at 20. Okay. So we'll roll another like 4d20. She hit one more time. 8 more damage. It's down to 1 hit point. 5, 6, 7. 7th more shot. 4 more damage and it goes down. I don't know. She used up like what, 25, 30 arrows or something. She bought way too many. We're all very surprised when it just collapses. And there you go. Done. I mean, again, I would love to hear people's opinions on that. From like a player perspective, from a DM perspective, if you think that's just too easy, too cheesy, that's not like what the author intended for it to happen. If you were DMing, would you have tried to have it like hide or something, you know, behind the corner, or would it go all the way out of the chasm, out to the chasm to just stop getting fired at? Or would it try to bash through the stairwell and squeeze through and swing its sword as much as it could? You know, I'd love to hear your thoughts. To me, it seems, like I said, like a very just rudimentary statue. It has no intelligence. I mean, technically it says stats as an ogre, but stats, in old school games don't include intelligence and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, that's how I'm running it. That's how we did it. That means that we do get, like I said, 320 XP is what I said. Yeah, so 320. All right. Glad to have done that. I don't think we're going to continue that way. We just wanted to kill that. I mean, we'll check out its body and stuff, but it's obviously not carrying anything of value. It's going to take 10 minutes to... it took 10 minutes to do all that, though. Alright, we're going to go back, though. We don't want to, but we feel like we have to. Even though we now do have, like, a clear avenue of escape that doesn't go through that other room. But, you know, where there's great danger, there's usually great treasure. So I suppose we want to try to kill this creature that's in this other room. So we're going to go back to 17, up the stairs. We're going to go down the trapdoor. And we're going to, slowly open that other door. And then we're going to let the chicken loose into the room. And we have our weapons ready. If it drops, whatever comes down and eats the chicken, if it looks like it might be doable to win, we'll charge in. Otherwise, we're closing that door and trying to never come back to this room ever again. Okay. So the chicken starts, squawking and roaming around the room and bouncing around the pillars and blah, blah, blah. And then I suppose it suddenly stops. Like it becomes just like... it just goes motionless. Yeah, so I mean, I think like it probably knows that we're also there because it can smell us and stuff, and it probably sees a bit of our light and blah blah blah. So it probably knows that we're in that hallway, but it also sees food. So I imagine it's fairly confident that it can just eat this chicken and then eat the rest of us. So yes, I suppose it is going to slink down the one of the pillars while staring at this chicken, and it turns to stone, and then it's going to proceed to consume it. And so we get to see this basilisk crawling down the pillar and turning this thing to stone. We see that it's got this weird visor thing on its head, which is curious. But it's a question of, do we think that we can charge this and kill this without it being, without us dying? I don't know, man. This might be an oracle roll. I would be okay ignoring this and never talking about it again, but killing it would be pretty satisfying. Alright. Let's roll an oracle roll. Do we charge the basilisk? No, we don't. I think that's probably prudent. I think we see that this thing's big. It can turn you to fucking stone just by looking at you. And it's intimidating as hell, you know? This is kind of beyond us. We can't cheese it the same way the statue could be cheesed. So we're just gonna close that door fucking shut and go around. So that means that we're going to go back down the stairs, past the arena, out the chasm, back under the bar here, into here, and last time we went up this way, so this time we'll go down this hallway. The total time for that, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rooms. It's probably another couple turns. And I think we will roll a random encounter check, just because we've spent some time down here now. So just a D6. Was it a D6? Where the hell was the wandering monster table? Here. D8. Well, it's a D6 to see if we have an encounter. We do. It's a D8. 2. Omen of jelly. Wet squelching in the distance. Yeah, so omens. When I used the underclock, we used omens. Those come up from time to time. But you don't often see them on wandering monster tables. This isn't actually an encounter then, it's just... That's it. It's just... You hear wet squelching in the distance. And that's it. I'm not sure if you're meant to... I know with the underclock, that's generally how it works. Maybe that's how you'd do it here, is the next time you roll an encounter then, you'll just do the jelly. I don't think that quite is how it works, though, because you have an Omen of Basilisk, but then the Basilisk is not an option for an encounter. And why would it be? Because it's fucking chained up. So, I guess, yeah, it's just that. So that means 30 minutes, 3 turns go by, you have to roll 1 on a 1d6, and then it might just be that you hear wet squelching in the distance. So it's not a super dangerous area, to say the least. It's not nearly as safe as Grimsgate was, with its, 1d10 roll or whatever, but, yeah, it's not bad. Alright, so, yes, we're going to look down the hallway 24. A long, narrow hallway slopes downwards to the south. Contains 1 skeleton jelly. Oh, well, then that omen makes sense. It will move towards noise. Okay, so we are walking down the hallway cautiously, keeping an eye out, and we encounter a skeleton jelly. Let's see... It's a weak skeleton that is completely invulnerable. A skeleton covered in orange ooze, immortal and nearly indestructible. Any attack that would normally deal 4 or more damage just knocks them back 5 feet. You cannot reduce their HP by damage, magic, fire, acid, prayer, cruel insults, or the touch of the Grim Reaper himself. They are too dumb to live and too stupid to die. They are slow, though. The problem here is, how long is it going to take us to realize? How long would it take most groups to realize that they are indestructible? It shouldn't take long, because I think the DM should be kind of clear when you attack it that it's just like... I guess it's sort of hard to say. I mean, obviously the orange ooze is a major factor here, but it's like, how does it present when struck? Does it just repel the weapon? Does it just bounce off? I don't know. It's something I wouldn't mind a little bit more info about. What the fuck is skeleton jelly? Designed to teach players and GMs that not all monsters are problems to be solved with sword and fire spells, but with clever thinking and resource management. Your sword slides in, then slides out. There's a thin residue of ooze on your sword, but otherwise it looks like nothing has changed. Your mace connects with the necrotic jelly's semblance of a face. The thing seems not the least perturbed. Yeah, basically, I guess, stuff like that. I'm overthinking it. As long as you make it somewhat clear that it's just like, it doesn't seem bothered at all. Alright, yeah. Right, so it's half speed, so it's not super fast. We can kind of just hear it squelching and squirching and whatever other words you want to use as it drags itself down the hallway towards us. Or I guess we're on a slight slope, so it's sort of climbing up towards us. And we will roll initiative. What is this music? I need... What the... Come on now. We need some fucking dungeon music now. No, that's also not it. Maybe just... L4 I like a lot, but then it gets really epic towards the end when you're just, like, killing the devil. And I think there is a little bit of vocals in there somewhere, but... Alright. Do we roll initiative? Yeah, terrible failure. Okay, so it slowly wanders up to us. Got 2 hit dice, so it's got +2 to attack for 1d4 damage, usually by grappling your head. It rolls a 6, so it misses. Bruce easily dodges this clumsy thing, and he will punish it with his spear. Nope, misses wildly. Rolled a 2. No surprise. Bellany will pick up where he left off. She fumbled. Okay, that's not good. So she has to re-roll the attack against Bruce now. Of course. Of fucking course, man. Come on. 6 damage to Bruce. Ah! She won't send Writhe in. So that's that. We fail again. He's gonna try to grapple Bruce's head again. He misses. Bruce counterattacks. He fumbles. What the fuck is up with this party, man? Skeleton misses. Bellany will try to shoot it again. Alright, she does hit it. So arrow just connects solidly with its skull. And, yeah, just sort of sits there, I guess. Well, no, it can't do any damage to it. Which means that there's no penetration. It just kind of bounces off its skull without even leaving a mark. New initiative then. I don't think we'd realize just yet based on that. And the problem is, like, we both have piercing damage, so I could see it being like, oh, well, we need to bludgeon it somehow. I do have a shield, so I guess we could make a shield attack. Well, he'll roll... No, he'll roll just the shield attack. Which is just going to be a normal roll. Because he's not doing a double-handed thing. He's just attacking with the shield. So that's going to be +2 to the roll. As normal. Ooh, he rolled a natural 19. That's nice. Maybe like 1d4 blunt trauma. Also does 1d3 plus 1 damage. 4 damage. Of course, it does nothing, so he just bashes this thing right in the face, and it just sort of keeps coming at him. Blunt trauma, again, it really can't do anything. Hurled backwards. Yeah, okay, I mean, I'm allowing that, because I think his... What did it say? 5 damage? Any attack that would normally deal 4 or more damage just knocks them back 5 feet. Right, so he goes back like 10 feet or something. Like, he really just rockets him back, but the skeleton just keeps coming and seems completely the same. So now, well, the conclusion is one of two things, but it's the same outcome. We either conclude that we have to use magical attacks to kill him, or that we can't kill him. So either way, I mean, we have to come up with an alternative. And I think we have our alternative. It's pretty simple. We're basically just going to lead him out to the chasm and then fucking drop kick him off. Which shouldn't be too much trouble. Yeah, shouldn't be too much trouble. We're faster than him. So, yeah, we're just going to walk out and have him follow us, and he will follow them, because that's his whole goal in life, is to squish heads and make more skeleton jellies. Because if you die from the skeleton jelly, you become a new skeleton jelly. So yeah, I don't think it's too tricky. I mean, I guess I could roll for initiatives and blah, 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 but I don't think I'd really bother. We can outpace it, so we'll outpace it. And we're going to get over to where the chasm is. Right, it might get a little tricky. Bruce is going to have to be in melee contact with him again. It's slippery here, so we don't want to make too many sudden movements. I don't want to get too fancy. I'm not doing a flying sidekick or something. We just want to, yeah, basically just do what I just did. Like, sort of reposition, wrestle with him for a little bit, and then just, like, shield bash him off the chasm. And if we don't end up doing 4 damage with the shield bash, we can just do a minor exploit to push him. So, eventually, yeah, Bellany's over here, and Trixie's over here. The mule is over here. I forgot about the mule. Yeah, we'll get to the statue eventually, I guess, but that's when we leave, so the mule's just with us. Alright, so I'm going to give the skeleton one more attack roll against us as Bruce kind of repositions around him. That's another miss, so now it's Bruce's turn. He's going to shield bash, so +2 to the roll. He misses. Bellany's not going to shoot. She's not going to waste arrows, so it's just going to be a back and forth now. I won't bother rolling initiative. Skeleton swings. Actually does hit for 1d4. 2 more damage. Bruce swings with the shield. He does hit. 1d3 plus 1 damage. 3 damage. Not enough to push him back, but we're going to do a minor exploit. So this is strength versus strength. We'll say the skeleton has 10 strength. And Bruce failed, which means he can't attempt any more minor exploits for the rest of the battle, which is annoying. I guess he doesn't have... Like, I guess he could just fucking push it, right? Grappling technically is all wrapped up in minor exploits, but I think in this case, probably make an exception. We're not trying to attack and do something else. I just want to push him. So, yeah, I should be able to just push him. So we'll have one more attack from the skeleton. That's a miss. Bruce is just going to roll athletics now, strength, in order to push this guy. It'll be a roll off. He succeeded by 1. Skeleton failed by 2, so he pushes the skeleton a short distance back. Doesn't really matter. He's off the cliff. And that's the end of that fight. Technically, we didn't kill him, but you don't actually have to kill something to get XP for it. So we got, I don't know, 12 XP, 47 XP. That's not bad. But he did get beat up. Does it earn a short rest? Yeah, I mean, he's kind of... He put in some effort there. I think he deserves a short rest. All right, you got 1 great success. That's going to hit points. Back to 16. Okay, that probably took an extended amount of time, so that's 10 minutes gone. We're going to go back in now. Back down the hallway to 25. This room has a false floor made of thin stone tiles. A 1-foot wide ring around the walls is safe, but all other tiles are held up by sticks and thin metal bars. Any PC stepping into the center of the room must save the dodge or take 1d6 damage from this fall, and save again or take a further 1d6 damage from the spikes at the bottom. The false tiles are easy to spot. One is even missing. Okay. Perception check for Bruce with a +4. So a total of 5 here. Success. Alright, so he's not that dumb. He's not that unobservant. So he does spot that there's like a clear differentiation between most of the tiles in this square room and the ones around the walls. I could poke it just to cause it to fall in so we see the whole outline. Or we might want to use this a little later if we could lead someone else into the trap. Not a bad idea. Yeah, I think leave it intact for now. So we're just going to shimmy around the walls to go here. It says the pit contains several mundane human skeletons and a gold ring worth 2 gold. 20 gold. The goblins use the pit to catch food, replacing the lost tiles every day. Oh, there's even a missing false tile, so we can actually look down into the spiked pit and see that. Okay, no problem. Up to room 26. Hallway. A small passage branching off from the main hallway leading to a locked door. The lock is incredibly rusted with age and the door opens easily. Okay. Well, fuck it then. It's a chance for Bellany to practice her lockpicking a little bit. We'll give her a bonus of, 4. Technically, she did not fail. Because I did not account for the fact she has the Ring of the Sly Serpent on, so she has +2 to dex checks. So technically, she couldn't fail that. Unless she rolled a 20. Which was close, but she did not fail. She pops open the lock eventually. And Bruce will listen at the door, of course. Crit. Shame there's not anything in there. The air here is foul and warm, and there's a distinct hissing sound coming from the southwest door. The room was once used to keep slaves, and a pair of iron manacles still lie on the floor. The manacles are enchanted to lock around the legs of anyone who approaches within 1 foot, but the rusted metal is weak and can be pried free with an easy strength test. Okay, well, we're going to search the room. We don't find anything. 10 minutes go by. Someone is going to get the manacles latched onto him, whether it's Bruce, Bellany, or Trixie. Doesn't really matter. And Bruce can just sort of... I think 14 strength with an easy strength test is pretty likely for him to succeed. Like, if we give him strength with +2, yeah, he's got it. So, annoying. Could be useful, but I don't know how you prevent it from locking onto yourself unless you're holding it open, I guess. Like holding a snake's jaws open. Okay, so this door here, there's a hissing sound. He's going to try to listen closer to exactly what that is. Great success. You can't really tell. So it's room 28. It's a domed hall. The hissing and sound is coming from the eternal flame. So it sounds like, yeah, it sounds like the hissing of fire or something, you know, like or a gas, but it also doesn't sound that close. So he doesn't really, especially with a great success, he doesn't seem to think it's coming from whatever's right past this door. So we're gonna go in, and we go into this unlabeled short hallway, and then there's another door. So he'll listen at that one. Well, wait, why is he listening? Oh, because why is he always listening? Why am I making him listen? No, Bellany should always be the one listening. Whoops. Yeah, okay. So she succeeds. She also hears the hissing sound. It sounds relatively close. She's not quite sure if it's in this room or not, but it could be. Bruce is gonna, like, put the back of his hand to the door and stuff, see if it's warm. It's not. He tells the others to all get back, maybe back in the other room with the manacles, and he'll keep his shield up and open the door. And we see an elaborately carved domed hall with a locked iron door in the south wall. The key to the door is around the basilisk's neck. The door isn't magical, but it would take a team of people hours or days to pry it open or crack its hinges. There's a broken stone door to the west. To the north are the flickering orange light of the sacrifice pit and the hiss of the eternal flame. Okay, so the room is pretty, but completely safe. Say 10 minutes go by because of our precautions, and I'm going to roll another encounter check. We're fine. So, right, we have a broken stone door to the west, which leads to, I gotta go to the big map here. That leads to 52. Okay. Then we have the north door, which is, we can see a flickering orange light from underneath it, and we can definitely tell now the hissing sound is coming from that direction. And then the southern door is a locked iron door. Well, shit. I mean, it's locked, and it's not a magical lock. It's just a lock, which means we can pick it, right? Maybe we saw there was a key around its neck, but I'd rather spend like an hour sitting here trying to pick the lock rather than... Says here, if captured alive, the basilisk is worth as much as 1,000 gold, or 10,000 gold for us, to a menagerie keeper. If tamed, it could easily be worth twice that. 20,000 gold. Let's go to Axe and see what it says about a tamed basilisk. Trained value, 21,000 gold. Pretty darn close, isn't it? Yeah. Untrained, an adult, 14,000. So a little bit more valuable than they said. Still, yeah. Fucking trained basilisk. Yeah. That is worth a hefty price, I would say. Probably not too easy to come by. Anyways, doesn't really mention the key at all in this whole section. So, oh, here. Wedged under the basilisk's collar, so we wouldn't have even noticed it. Okay. Yeah, I guess we're gonna try to pick it. I don't see why it would be... I guess it should be a pretty good lock. It's the key to the treasure room. And the lich that runs this place put the key to that door under the basilisk's collar. So it should be a pretty fucking tough lock, I would imagine. So, I would say she can attempt traps and locks, but it's actually going to be a disadvantage. Still gives her pretty good odds, because she has +2 from the Ring of the Sly Serpent. So really she has a +3. Which means she needs to roll a 19. Basically, as long as she doesn't roll a 20. Okay, she rolled a 12. That's pretty good. I think it takes time. I'm definitely, no matter what, taking time. Even with a great success, it would still take 10 minutes. For her, it's going to take half an hour. But she's confident throughout the process that she is, like, you know, she's getting... whatever lockpicking lawyer says, you know, he's like getting good response or whatever on the first one, and you know, like she's doing it, but it's a little confounding her as she goes through it, and it's taking a long time. We have to just sit there, and there is going to be a random monster check. Okay, we're fine. We're in relative peace here, and eventually she does pop it open. Now, if you don't want your players to just do that, then it has to be magical. But it's very specifically says the door isn't magical. There's nothing said about the key being magical. It's just a locked door with a key, which means that it can be picked until I hear otherwise. So, you know, all the facts of like how difficult it is, how long it takes, that's just me making it a bit more significant, but still. All right. This room contains whatever it is you want to put in the bottom of your dungeon. A boss fight, a rare item, piles of gold, plot hooks, stairs to more dungeon levels. At the least, it should contain 2,000 gold pieces of assorted treasure. Alright, let's see what other people have put in their treasure room, shall we? Mine was the Tomb of a King, which would only open for an equal. In Spanish, the sun is the king of stars. So they figured out they had to shine sunlight on the door somehow, but never got around to it. I was going to have it full of silver coins and jewelry with a duplicating curse. Okay. I just did a classic treasure room. Chest full of coin, flask of healing flame, a staff that can transform into a loyal snake, maybe one other thing I forgot. This person did 3 occultum beads in a massive locked chest, carefully sorted leather bags of the kingdom's modern coinage, and a signed letter from the PC's adoptive father addressed to them, indicating that he had already breached the vault, taken and spent the treasure of the Serpent Men, and was now using the space as a dead drop for material relevant to state interests. Well, that's certainly a hook. Ran it in OSC. I just rolled on the Basilisk's treasure table F. I rolled this. Value in gold pieces 5,000. 1,000 platinum, +1 sword, potion of growth, ring of delusion, potion of poison, spell scroll. And then I reflavor it. Yeah, I guess most people are not putting a boss fight here. They're really just putting treasure. I generally have it be empty or nearly empty because another group has raided in the past, but I'm a bit of a dickhead GM. And that response got -2 votes. So I think that's... I think that's about right. Oh, the author actually ran it himself. What did he put in there? I don't think he did that yet. Oh god, he got 12 sessions out of this fucking thing? No, he must have... That can't all be in the one dungeon. No, he's running other shit. Okay, yeah, it's just... He started with Tomb of the Serpent Kings. I'm just curious. I'm curious to see what the author himself decided when he ran it to what he was going to put in there. He did end up linking that Reddit thread. I don't know. Did they ever even find it? Doesn't sound like they ever found it. So I guess we'll never know. All right, then I guess we'll probably just make it a treasure room. I think at this point, we haven't gotten much treasure at all. So I guess we've earned it, right? We didn't kill the basilisk or do anything with the basilisk, but we circumvented it. We killed the stone guardian. We've made it all the way down here. We picked the lock. So I'm not opposed to just rolling on like treasure type P, although I feel like that's probably going to be too much. We go the heroic table for P. That averages out to 17,000 gold. We need it to average around 2,000 gold. Although someone else said that, I guess the author said at some point that if you're running gold as XP, it should be enough to level... What did you say? One person? Two people? I don't remember where he said that. Give the PCs a level. Well, okay. That would be quite a bit, I suppose, but it maybe. That would be, let's see. Then we're adding already 360. So 180, so that's 560. So we need about 3,000 gold in this thing. All right, so we'll roll on the incidental row here. We'll roll an I treasure type. It might not end up being that much. It might end up being more. We'll see. But that's where we're rolling. So we have a 35% chance of 2d4,000 copper. Getting that out is going to be annoying. But we do have the mule with us if worse comes to worse. So that's a 35% chance. So 1 to 35. Okay, we did. 2d4 copper. 5,000 copper pieces are in here. Let's just... This is all going on the mule. Yeah, we're probably going to give up our statue strategy for this. 5,000 copper. Which is 50 XP. Not great. And next is 35% chance for 1d6,000 silver. No. Then 35% or 15% chance for 1d6,000 electrum. No. Next, 15% chance for 1d6,000 gold. No. Next, 50% chance for 2d4 gems. Yes. Which is going to be 8. Maxed out the gem rolls. 8 gems. We'll determine what their value is in a second. 40% chance for 1d8 jewelry. Yes. Excellent. 1d8 jewelry. Oh, 7. That's pretty big, I think. I spelt that wrong, of course. I spelt that miserably wrong. And then lastly, well, 35% chance for 2d2 common magic items. No. Okay, well, that was our most likely. 30% chance for 1 uncommon magic item. No, I rolled the same number. 4% chance for 1 rare item. No. And 2% chance for 1 very rare. No. No magic items, just loot. Bit of a bummer. Yeah, a bit of a bummer for sure. It would have been nice to get like a +1 weapon or something like that, but... Okay, so now we have to roll for our gem value and our jewelry value. Well, What is... How does that work? Oh. Oh, okay. So I just got gems. They weren't a specific... Oh, no. Yeah, right. Okay. Ah, I see how it works. So they're going to have an average value each of 200 gold. When we roll a D100, you can determine one value for all the all the games. What? Typo. All the gems in a treasure, or divide the gems up into groups, or determine the value of each individual gem. All right, we'll have them all be the same. It's fine. I'm not overly picky. So we're going to roll 1d100, and this determines the value of each of the gems. 83 is big, baby. Holy shit. 8 gems, each worth 500 gold. That is insane. That's insane. I just got 4,000 XP, assuming we make it out. But at this rate, like, holy shit. We don't need to do anything else in this dungeon. We are good. Yeah. That alone would level up both of our characters from 0 XP to level 2. And we haven't even rolled jewelry yet. Right, but that's going to be 4,000. Okay. And next would be the average value of jewelry is 1,000 gold per piece. So it's another D100 roll. We'll break this up into 2 chunks. So there'll be 2 separate rolls. 4 of them will be one roll, 3 of them will be the other roll. So the first roll, 29. The jewelry value, 2d4 times 100. Okay, 2. So 4 of the pieces are worth 200 each. Then the other 3 are going to be worth 16. 2d10 times 10. That's not nearly as valuable. Okay, so that's 130 each. Honestly, not bad. It could have been a hell of a lot better. I mean, we could have gotten like 1d4 times 1,000 each. I mean, it could have been off the charts, but I think this is relatively balanced. So that's going to be worth an extra 800 and an extra 390. Ooh, okay, no magic items, but man, are we flush with XP and cash to go into Barakus. I can't imagine there'd be much reason we would persist in this dungeon, you know? Like, this is crazy good. Any further exploration is likely to just go downhill rather than uphill. Uphill's usually worse, but in this case, yes, it's likely to go worse for us rather than better. Because we know that there's goblins down here, so there's probably like a whole goblin region or something, a whole area. We're gonna get ambushed. We know there's a basilisk somewhere. There might be more basilisks. There's, you know, whoever this treasure belongs to. I would say it's pretty unlikely we go on. I will leave it up to the Oracle, though, but I'm going to say it's at disadvantage. Do we continue through the dungeon? No, we don't. We rolled a 2. So we are hightailing it out of here, and that's going to be the end of Tomb of the Serpent Kings. Yeah, so I still then won't have full knowledge of the adventure. There's going to be stuff in here that I didn't get to, but I got to a fairly good amount. Yeah, so the big baddie is ZZ Manter, an ancient snake man wizard, twisted but immortal. He looks like a dried human corpse with fangs fused to a snake tail at the waist. He desires living creatures, preferably intelligent, ideally wizards. He distills them to make his potions. While utterly amoral, he is neither rude nor murderous. He firmly believes that he is close to a breakthrough. He also believes that the Snake Man Empire still sits above him, that the tomb is full of priests, and that the party must be barbarian visitors on a tour. If shown evidence to the contrary, he will become enraged. They will not be allowed past the entrance hall unless they agree to be his apprentices or victims. His most powerful potions take decades to brew. He will trade potions for living creatures, spells, rare ingredients, and apprentices. He will not accept coins or treasure. If the party is openly carrying looted items from the tomb, he will become suspicious and try to poison, capture, or manipulate them. Okay. Yeah, so he would be kind of interesting, but he's not really like, I am an evil wizard and you will die. You know, he's just like, he's just a guy. He's doing research down here. I mean, he doesn't care about human life or anything like that, but yeah, like I'd say, he's not murderous. He's not gonna just grab you and make you his victim. But he does have fucking 10 hit dice. He has lich stats. His armor is as plate and shield, and he casts as a horrendously powerful wizard. He has a 1 in 6 chance of ignoring any spell that targets him. He's immune to all mind-affecting spells. He can see through illusions. And if he ignores the spell, he also has a 50% chance of reflecting it back at its caster. He knows Wall of Fire, Animate Dead, Ray of Enfeeblement, Magic Missile, Darkness, Fog, Finger of Death, and Sleep. Add as many other horrific and unique spells as your system allows. Yeah, he's pretty... You don't want to fight him. You definitely don't want to fight him. Yeah, I think we got then basically the most valuable thing. There is the throne, I suppose, that we could have stolen, which is worth 2,500, but we got more than that. I mean, those gems, that was such a good roll. But we didn't get any other silver or gold or electrum, so... Yeah, 4,000 plus 4,800... 4,800, 50, 5190 plus 50, 5240, 5,240 is the total gold value, or for XP. And this was averaged at 3,250, so we got quite a bit above the average value thanks to that high gem roll. 8 gems with like a damn good value. Yeah, that was pretty unlikely, but it's an average, so what do you expect? All right, so we are gonna make it back out of the zone. We'll do one more random encounter check on our way out. We're fine. So then it's just time. I can tick down the torch a few times, but I think we'll go relatively slowly and safely and get out of the way we came in, and that's it for Tomb of the Serpent Kings. Before we move on, I guess I should maybe review it, even though we didn't do the whole thing. I still wouldn't say it's among my favorite modules, either to play solo or to run for a group. But it's not bad. I mean, it's definitely sort of evocative. It's got some very unique like entities and encounters and things like that. Like the stone golem in the arena with the shields and everything. It's got the skeleton jelly. There are certain enemies in here that just kind of have to be thought creatively. Like the chained up basilisk in this hallway with a visor on its head. It's like, it's crazy to put a basilisk in a level 1 or a low level dungeon like this, but at the same time, it's like, it does kind of lean into that whole OSR playstyle of just like, there isn't really encounter balance. And if you're creative or lucky or, whatever, intelligent, you might be able to defeat something way above your pay grade. Or all sorts of stuff. I mean, it even mentions that it likes the basilisk appreciates anyone who can scratch the worn and chipped scales under its collar. You know? So it's like maybe you could actually like tame it. And it says like if tamed, it could be worth 20,000 gold. Or you could capture it. I mean, I would love to see a low level group take on Tomb of the Serpent Kings and fucking capture the basilisk. That seems remarkable. But if you go back to town and you buy poisons or something like that, maybe to like try to put it to sleep or like who knows what. That's the beauty of the OSR style of play that I love. Anything is theoretically possible. Would I run this for a group that has never played an RPG? Would I run this as an introductory adventure to the OSR playstyle? Honestly, I might. And I was thinking about it. I'm always trying to get some friends online to get to play D&D. It's never happened yet. I'm going to keep trying. And I was thinking, like, would I run this for them as their first thing? It's possible. It doesn't, the other one that I always think about is Black Worm of Brandonsford. But that's more of like a mini hex crawl. It's a bit more open. It's a bit more, you're in a village, you're like in a little village, there's NPCs, you might talk to people, get into actually role-playing characters. There's outdoor stuff, there's the actual like hex crawl of wandering monsters and blah blah blah. It is a very, very good adventure. I ran it for my family a while back and they all loved it. But I do think there is a lot of value in like this style where you just, hey, you're at the start of the dungeon. This is the dungeon. It's in front of you. You're going to go through this dungeon. Like, no fuss, no muss. You're not chatting with anybody. There's no NPCs to talk to. You're going to fucking learn how to navigate a dungeon, which is generally a pretty important part of this playstyle. Blackburn or Brandonsford doesn't hold their hand nearly as much. Or not hold their hand, but it doesn't teach them nearly as much. It's more, I guess, an organic playstyle. It's more like what they'll end up doing most of the time anyways, of like maybe an open hex crawl with a village and a couple dungeons and like, hey, there's a giant that lives there, and it's still very good and can teach them a lot of stuff, but this is much more of like, I guess, guided through a dungeon. Like I said, I'd probably make it a bit easier, a bit less lethal. I would telegraph more stuff. I would probably do that thing that someone else mentioned with these first tombs, these coffins, where they see a skeleton sort of hunched over one of them that's been broken open. I would change, like I did, a couple of the magic items. And especially I would run, well, it's hard to say, because I love Tales of Argosa, but I also don't know if I'd run it as someone's first RPG. So running this with Shadow Dark, it's a little trickier. I don't know. Does Shadow Dark tell you to make skill or stat rolls for like a trap? Yeah, it says a thief always finds a trap if searching in the right area. If he takes time to scan the sky for threats or examine a stretch of wall for a secret door, you simply succeed. So, ask for a check when the following is true. The action has a negative consequence for a failure. The action requires skill, and there's time pressure. One could argue, I suppose, that there is time pressure there is the pressure of noticing a pressure plate in time before you step on it. I guess that could be true. I think when I run Shadow Dark for people, I have treated it like this. Like I've rolled like, okay, roll your wisdom or whatever to see if you notice it. It's just a lot easier with Tales of Argosa, where perception is a very clear-cut stat compared to wisdom or something. And also it has group checks and rerolls and skills and stuff. But yes, I would run Shadow Dark as roll your wisdom to see if you notice the trap before you step on it. I was reading some discussions like earlier today about people that don't do that. Like they don't want to have any rolls for traps. And if you weren't searching, and if you didn't say that you're searching that area, you don't find the trap and you trigger it when you go over it. And the top response for that was a very correct one, is like, you could do it that way, but it's going to breed a very unfortunate playstyle for everyone involved, where they have to be very diligent and say that they're searching every square inch of every room because they don't want to trigger a trap because they didn't notice it. You know, and that's how it was for probably many groups like decades ago. But that's not fun. And this is why traps tend to be very contentious. Because that style of play is not very fun. I think Pathfinder 2nd Edition has it where you declare like an exploration action. And when you're going through a dungeon, you have a default action that your character is generally always doing unless you say otherwise. So like the mage is always sensing for magic, and the thief is always checking for traps, and the fighter always keeps his shield up. And it's just like your default thing. Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty good too, but I like the idea of just... I like the idea of if you're searching an area, specifically say that you're searching an area. You can cut down on time if you're very direct and you find it, and, you know, like, rather than say, I searched the whole room, you can say, okay, I'm just going to really check out this statue and really inspect its head, or inspect, you know, whatever, or inspect behind it. Or there's a cupboard over there, I want to search that cupboard specifically. Yeah, you can cut down on a lot of time with that. And if you are doing that, and there's something there, I will tell you find it. Done. No rolls, whatever. If you want to say you search the whole room, there doesn't have to be any rolls. You're giving up time for, you know, convenience so that you find whatever could be there. Done. Otherwise, you know, for traps and stuff, I just like a perception check. If you're not actively searching a specific spot, we assume that your characters are relatively competent. They're alert most of the time, unless they're under specific pressure or they're, you know, ill or whatever. Their eyes are open. They're always looking around them. They might not notice everything, but they at least get a chance to notice something. That's how I like to do it, but, you know, each table is going to be different. So, yeah, I guess I would probably run for brand new players that I feel would be interested in dungeon play. You know, if they're a bit more like my sister or something that just wants to be out in the wilderness and tame animals and stuff like that, like, that's not someone that's really going to enjoy the nitty-gritty of dungeons in an OSR game. And granted, OSR is probably not a great suit for someone like that. It doesn't really fit, which is probably why she doesn't really play with us anymore. But it is what it is. But yeah, if I recognize someone might like dungeon play, then yeah, I probably would run Shadow Dark and Tomb of the Serpent King for their very first experience. But I think there'd be nothing wrong with doing whatever your game of choice is and running Blackworm or Brandonsford. Because that is just, yeah, that is a stellar introduction as well. If they're more a group that's going to be interested in role-playing and, you know, conversing and the hex scroll and all that, and they want to just get into that sort of experience. But, you know, if they're coming off of something like 5e, I think they might already sort of grasp the basics of that, you know. And I think, yeah, so if they're not brand new to RPGs, but they're brand new to the OSR, I think this is a very valuable experience. So they can see how dangerous it could be. They could learn these, like, sort of tropes and things like that that are used repeatedly throughout the OSR And the things you have to pay attention to and be more specific about. So yeah, I think it's pretty solid. I imagine this is probably the last time I'll look at this module solo, but I do see myself running this for somebody in the future, one way or another. Okay, let's close out on Tomb of the Serpent Kings. Well, I won't close it, but we go back to town. Selling all this loot seems like it's going to be tricky, but this is where I think we're going to do a bit of a time skip, because we have to somehow end up at the lost city of Barakus. So there'll be a little bit of a time skip here where we go to another big city, we sell off the stuff, we level up. Technically, we level up when we go back to our own town. Because we're going to tally this all up now. We got 320 plus 47 plus 50 plus... I just added 5. Plus 4,000. That's the big one. Plus 390. 5,607 divided by 2. 2,803. Oh, plus... Fuck. What did I just have? 388? Yeah. Plus 388. Whoops. 3,191. Okay. Not that far off from level 3 already. That feels good. But getting that extra 809 experience in Barakus and getting home again might be a little trickier. We'll see. But we do level up to level 2. For selling purposes, we have 5,000 copper. We're just going to convert that to gold. We'll go to a money changer. He'll charge... Money changers are usually assholes, so he'll charge 20%. So we really only get... 40 gold out of that, but that's fine. 334. Okay. Technically, we might not want to actually sell these because they're very compact compared to lugging around, 4,000 gold. But we want to do some purchases here. We can't buy magic items. Well, that's not strictly true. We could buy magic items, but it's going to be very expensive. Let's just look at what it would cost to buy a +1 magical spear. No effects of any kind. This is just some wizard up in a tower cranking out +1 magic spears. Not really cranking them out, but what, let's say. On the open market, we spend the time and the effort, and we eventually purchase a +1 magic weapon. Permanent bonus is 5,000 gold. Yeah, exactly. So, and that's the component cost. That's the base cost. To purchase that, I think it's 225% of that. If it's something that someone made. Okay, so if you want to sell something that you found, discovered, looted, or otherwise acquired, then you can sell it. So it's in their setting, you sell it to the Tower of Knowledge, because that's like the organization that handles all magic item purchase and selling, but whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is, you can sell it for the base cost, which would be 5,007 gold for a spear, like 3 gold or whatever. Basically 5,000 gold. If it was created by you, though, adventurers can sell it at twice the base cost. Here it talks about commissioning a magic item. You have to pay upfront the material cost and then either pay the component cost or provide the required special components. Then you'll be charged the research cost. So basically, the total cost is 3 times the base cost. Marcus hires a mage to create a suit of plate armor plus 3. Base cost 35,000. He pays 35,000 for the material. He delivers the special component, the iron fragments of golems, worth 35,000 gold to the mage. And then when he finishes, the research cost is 35,000 because you got to pay for the mage's time. So all in all, buying plate armor plus 3, commissioned, 105,000 gold pieces. Oh, here's our most relevant then. Can buy pre-existing magic items from the Tower of Knowledge for a market price equal to 225% base cost. There you go. So that means that our spear would cost 10,000, whatever that is. 5,000 times 2.25. 1,125 gold, yeah. No, 11,250 gold. Sorry. We're nowhere near that. Yeah, we're nowhere near that. So that's just right the fuck out. That's not to say we couldn't buy any magic items, but we couldn't buy any plus ones. Which tells you how valuable those things are if you find them. Even a potion of healing costs 1,125 gold. Yeah, low-level characters just are not dealing with magic items. That's why you're an adventurer. That's why you're going into these dungeons. Is because your only hope is really just to find magic items rather than buy them or have them made or something. So that's right the fuck out. That's not happening. So instead, our best bet is Masterworks, which is a bit more accessible to us. These can only be made by a Grand Master, but if we go to the capital city or whatever of our region, there will be, you know, some Grandmaster blacksmiths that will have a collection of these that we could purchase. Yeah. But it also says in the AX3 Capital of the Borderlands sourcebook, Masterwork items are only available from specific in-game merchants that characters must befriend. So depending on how harsh you want to be about it, these are really hard to come by. I don't think... Yeah, yeah. The thing is, like, why make it that difficult? Because as soon as you get a magic item, like if I had a magic spear plus 1, I would never need a Masterwork spear. The magic item is already a Masterwork. So I feel that after a certain point, you're not really getting Masterwork items made for yourself. I think mostly it's going to be for, like, okay, I have like an army and I have 30 officers or something. And I want them all to have Masterwork swords and Masterwork chainmail or something. And it's like, okay, well, that's pretty tricky then, you know? That's not nearly as easy. But I think for player purposes, especially for like a 2-person party, this isn't really that big of a deal. All right, so let's say we want a Masterwork spear plus 1. We can have plus 1 to attack, plus 1 to damage, or plus 1 to both. And that's the one that costs 650 gold in addition to the cost of the item. So that's what we want. A spear is very cheap at 3 gold, so 653 gold is going to give us essentially a magic spear plus 1, except that it's still a mundane weapon, so it can't hit magic creatures, you know, whatever. But it's still pretty good, and that Bruce needs it, so we're gonna go for it. I think I didn't write down our gold total. No, why did I not write that down? Okay, 50 plus 4,000 plus 800 plus 390. Oh, and we converted the copper. So it's actually not including the 50. Yeah. 5,190. All right, let me just write that down. Okay. So 653, we're spending that. That's settled. Done. So that brings us down to 4,537 gold. But he gets a +1 spear. Masterwork. 1d8 +1. And I have to always just put in +1 attack value until someone tells me otherwise how to do it. We also could do +1 AC on both his plate armor and shield if we really want to spend all the money, which is getting pretty nice. So he would have 19 AC with that setup. And if he takes protect, oh no, he's a paladin, we can't take protect. Yeah, 19 AC is pretty good. But that would set us back 710 plus another 660, 70, 60. So another like 1,300. I think though we're pretty flush with cash where I'd be willing to do so to deck Bruce out. Like, give us the best odds, man. Best odds possible. So fuck it, we're doing that. Minus 710. Minus 660. Brings us down to 3,167. That was really a great treasure haul, man. That's gonna save our bacon. This would be a lot trickier if we had a party of like 4 or 5 characters that all wanted masterwork shit, and we'd really have to divide stuff. But with 2 characters, we can deck them out pretty good. All right, so the shield then is going to give 2 AC. Masterwork. And the plate armor is going to give 7 AC. Ho, 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 ho. We could have also spent less to have it take up less slots, but it's all about that AC bonus, man. 19 AC. That's all he really needs. So next would be her longbow, which will be another 657. Down to 2,510 now. It's still a lot of money. Wait a minute, that's not how much money we have. I didn't deduct the 15%. Okay, we don't have this much money. Right. So it was 8 gems at 500 each. So 500 times 15. So they're 425 times 8. Okay, so that was 3,400. Fuck. I'm gonna have to redo all this math. Alright, 3,400. And then there were the 4 things, each worth 200. So those are worth 170 times 4. 680. And then there was the 3 things worth 130. So those are worth... yeah, fuck it. 110 each. So that's 330. Okay. So that's our total then. Of how much we had going into this. 4,410. We were at, I think, 5,190. I guess I could have just taken... 5,190, which I think is the number we had that I said, times 0.15. Right, so 90 minus... I already forgot. Fuck. My brain is mush. Too many numbers. 5190 minus 778. Okay, it's pretty close. Okay. So then, fine. That's fine. So 5190 minus 2510 is, this is how much we've spent so far. That seems right? I've bought 4 masterwork items. They average around 700 or so, maybe a little less. So that should be 28,000. Yeah, that's right. Okay, it's fine. So now we're just going to do 4,410 minus 2680. Okay, that's how much we have left. 1,730. Okay, good. Okay, but she gets her longbow +1. Her masterwork. And again, we have to add the +1 when rolling it, which is annoying. I'm sure there is some way, somehow, to do that automatically, but I don't know what it is. Do we want to buy anything else? Well, we could buy her better armor, I guess. You know, I might buy her the lesser masterwork that takes up 1 less slot. Yeah, 80 gold. Okay, we'll buy her the lesser masterwork scale armor. So that's 110. $16.20. I could have done that manually. I'm getting lazy. Okay, so we will we'll put his masterwork. I'll write lesser masterwork just so I know. Okay, and that's just gonna delete 1 dummy armor slot. Okay, yeah, there's not much else I'd really need to do. I guess military oil we could buy. We could buy... Oh yeah, we could stock up on iron rations now. Although we did already, right? We have 21. I imagine, though, if we're gonna hand wave some stuff, that those rations got consumed. Like, this sounds like it took some time. We had to travel for quite a while to the capital and stuff. So I'm gonna just replenish the 21 rations Trixie's carrying as just a tax. So that's 63 gold. Okay. I do want to buy some military oil, and I think we'll restock our common oil as well. So 6 silver for that. We'll buy, fuck it, 5 pints of military oil for 10 gold. So whatever, 11, 5, 4, 6. Yeah, you stand the best odds of having this. Military oil. Consumable. Gear. 5. Good. We already have the mule. We could buy a cart while we're here. Why wouldn't I? Having a cart is just... it depends on where you're traveling, but it sounds like Barakus is not like a jungle. So we should be able to go back and forth with our cart. So that's going to be 25 gold. 1521. Oh, we have to name our mule. We never named her. I'm gonna name her after Trixie and name her Mixie. So technically, Right, so technically, the mule itself can carry 25 slots, and the cart can carry 50 slots. I never thought about that. And the cart can do 50, 75. Alright, because then we can get rid of the, I mean, we want them to have tinderboxes, I guess, just in case. But the bedroll, I don't even know where his bedroll went. He must have owned one, but sure. Bedroll times 3 for Trixie as well. I'll have to buy that. Yeah, he's got 7 slots all day, so he can't really carry that much, unfortunately. Bruce. She's got rope, military oil, thieves' tools. Grappling hook is what, yeah, we want to buy. So that's another 25. 26 for the bedroll. 14.95. Again, imagine doing this all with pencil and paper. Like, I'd be erasing over and over. Like, it would just be a mess. I guess you'd have scratch paper, but still, it's annoying. So she's going to carry the grappling hook as well. Because you never know when you might need it. Okay, and, she could maybe buy some poison. Not a bad idea, actually. Nothing amazing. Well, yeah. Well, yeah, if you're talking about actual combat stuff, you got to get up to, like, giant rockfish poison. Onset time of 1 round for an extra 5d6 damage. I mean, that is pretty insane. Like, if I had that for the basilisk... Kidding? Basilisks aren't immune to poison or anything, right? They are resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing, but... No, I mean, he would take 5d6 from that poison, which is pretty nuts. And a dose of this poison can coat 20 arrows. So she's really a good contender for it. I think we're going to splurge. I think we're going to try to buy this giant rockfish poison. It says at the judge's discretion. Okay. So it's probably a bit of a black market thing, because if you're buying giant rockfish poison, it's probably for nefarious purposes. So she's got to kind of go to the black market. Tales of Argosa has rules for the black market. I've never looked at them. Firstly, the adventurer needs someone with connections to the underworld to put them in contact with a potential buyer or supplier. Thief, smuggler, assassin, fixer, possibly barkeep, etc. Secondly, assuming a deal is struck for the item or service in question, a luck save is required to avoid a black market complication. Okay. Well, we'll have her roll, God, no one likes Bellany. She has to have Bruce do it all. I guess he's not opposed to the black market, right? He's, like I said, he doesn't care too much as long as... Well, yeah, I mean, they're... Okay. It's probably not right. He's not that... He doesn't really approve, because they sell drugs, and, you know, they sell drugs to kids on the black market. He heard it. So he doesn't like them. So he doesn't approve of it. So Bellany's on her own. She's going to have to roll a gather info with her charisma to try to ask around. It's not good. Terrible failure. Yeah, it's going to take time. She's going to pay out the ass is basically what I'm doing here. She's going to have to pay double. Is that worth it? Is it worth 900 gold? Honestly, it still might be worth it. Yeah. All right. I think it is worth it. So she's going to pay the 900, bringing us down to 595 gold. That's still enough spending cash for anything we might need to survive on. anything we might want to pick up out there, but yeah, don't tell Bruce. So then I guess we will follow up this, because I think this could be kind of interesting, even though I think a lot of it is sort of more for like role-playing purposes, maybe. We'll see. So she just has to roll straight up luck. If she fails, she has to roll 2d6 on this table. On a terrible failure, she has to roll disadvantage, which I assume means the lower number? I'm not really sure. It's a weird thing to say disadvantage on, because the high numbers are bad. The low numbers are bad. I guess you're just rolling twice and taking the worst option. Whatever it might be. Alright, so she's just gonna roll straight up luck. This is an oracle roll. She crit. Okay. So, against all odds, despite no one liking her, she managed to just get what she wanted for an outrageous price. That probably helped. Just throwing money at it. Okay, so she has 1 dose of giant rockfish poison. So this is 1 dose, which, like I said, is 20 arrows. I don't think you have to apply all 20 arrows at one time. So we are going to keep track of how many she applies. That she keeps, like, dipping arrows into. We're not keeping track of arrows, but I will keep track of that. So, like, we might be preparing for a fight, like the Basilisk. She might only dip 2 or 3 arrows into it. Also, what are the odds that Bruce will never get struck by giant rockfish poison? I would say pretty slim. I think that's in his future. But we level up to level 2. First, we'll long rest just to get everything back to where it should be. Then level 2. So he goes up to 22 hit points. He's got a +2 attack bonus now. He's going to get +1 to an attribute, which is going to be strength, of course. So now he has a +2 mod for that. +5 on his attack rolls with his spear. That's a hell of a jump, huh? And 1d6 +3 damage is pretty solid. He also got an extra pack gear slot out of it, so that's nice. And we will go to our sheet here. So he gets another skill, and he gets divine health. So he is now immune to all disease, which is always nice. Hell yeah. He can wade through any sort of fucking filth water he wants now. And as for a new skill... I lean towards maybe persuasion. He has a high charisma. It seems weird for him not to have persuasion, so I think we're going to give it to him. There's a few others he could benefit from, like maybe stealth, and then he could possibly take that ring, but I really don't want to have him disadvantaged with poison, especially with her shooting giant rockfish poison around. So we're just going to go ahead and give him persuasion. And that is it for Bruce for level 2. Bellany gets 2 hit points, up to 12. She does not get an attack bonus, which is annoying. She doesn't have stellar progression. She can't gain Dex or Perception. Con would give her more hit points, which is not a bad idea. Will would give her better odds of recovery, though. But I think we'll go for Con just to get rid of that -1, which would have impact. Like, if she had to roll for poison, she'd have to roll disadvantage and a -1, so it wouldn't be good. So we'll bump up her Con, which gives her another hit point. And she's going to get Steady Shot and a new skill. Steady Shot from 2nd level. When you make a ranged attack, targets lose any AC bonus due to cover. And you never have to reroll attack against an ally and say, oh, she gets precise shot for free at second level. Well, that's the benefit of being a ranger, I suppose, compared to the rogue. Awesome. That is pretty damn slick. Oh, also, yeah, fuck, I forgot. Bruce gets another blessing, and Bellany gets another ranger craft. So she gets steady shot. Awesome, awesome. And she's going to get a new skill, which is going to be... oh, boy. Something with dex. I think we already have a lot of the dex. Sleight of hand, maybe, but it comes up so rarely. Yeah, sleight of hand. She's really trying to be our rogue. Okay, and then her ranger craft. Let's look over our options. Animal Ken. You and your priest briefly exchange detailed information, including matters which might not normally be imparted by an animal. GM discretion. Yeah, that could be useful, especially if you take like an owl for big scouting purposes. That could be very valuable. Antitoxin draft. One target within melee range may apply the effects of antitoxin. Well, that could be something. Applied within 1 minute of poisoning grants a second luck save to resist the poison or some other beneficial effect at the GM's discretion. Does not undo attribute or hit point loss already suffered, but will stave off further loss, paralysis, or death. It also may be taken ahead of time, granting the same protection for 2d6 rounds. The problem with that is most poisons that we're going to be running with from like Axe are going to be basically instant. There are some that are paralysis for a certain amount of time, so we could go with that. That it also, yeah, will give us second luck save to resist like paralysis, which isn't bad because paralysis could fucking end our party. So I'm not entirely opposed to it, but it's also not a very flashy, exciting option. Instinctive rescue. Your beast may perform a rescue that targets you or an ally. If your GM agrees it's possible, your beast must make a dex check and you a perception check. If successful rescue occurs, no luck check is required. Writhe does have a 17 fucking dex, and Bellany has a 16 perception, so that's basically like a guaranteed rescue once per adventure. Assuming I can argue to myself that it's possible. Nature's Venom. After you hit with a weapon attack, you may trigger this talent to impose a 75% chance that the target is dazed. This is a poison effect. What is dazed? Their next action occurs last in the initiative order, and they don't get to make any ops. It's not super good, I would say. Offhand Adept is for 2-weapon fighting, so you don't get disadvantage on your offhand whenever you actually spend Ranger Craft to trigger this. Cover Fire. If you or an ally is hit by a ranged attack, you may trigger this talent to re-roll the attack and apply the lowest result. Honestly, also not bad for covering Bruce a little bit, or perhaps for protecting herself. Ranger's Ointment. For 1d6 plus 6 hours, one target within melee range gains advantage on rolls to resist adverse effects inflicted by cold, heat, fire, and lightning, magical or otherwise. Potentially good, but quite situational. But it does last a hell of a long time. But remember, you don't get stuff back overnight. So using that at the start of the day, you might go the whole day, it never does anything, and then you don't have the Ranger Craft until you short rest. Yeah, it's hard to say. Ooh, Seasoned Explorer lets you roll against Perception instead of Int on Wilderness lore checks. That would be pretty good. Except Bruce does have Wilderness lore and a 14 Int. If it weren't for that, if Bruce was dumb like you expect him to be, that would be crucial, I would say, but I don't think we actually need it. Trackless. For 1d6 times 10 minutes, you and your beast leave no tracks, ignore armor penalties, and move stealthily without slowing your normal move rate. And then healing solve. During a short rest, you and up to 8 allies regain hit points equal to your perception mod. So it'd be an extra 2 hit points if I want to spend the Ranger craft. It's pretty minor. I feel like that should be bigger, right? That seems just like there's no scaling to it. Just nothing. It's just 2, and it's almost never going to ever get above 2. Yeah. I guess I lean towards then overall instinctive rescue, cover fire, or maybe antitoxin. I think I'll go with cover fire, even though I feel like I'm going to forget that it exists all the time. But we'll give it a shot. And a Ranger craft goes up to 2 uses. Okay. And then for Bruce, he goes up to 2 blessings. And he gets to pick a blessing now, which is pretty nice. Pick of the litter. Blessed weapon. So, as an action, for 1d6 minutes, his weapon counts as magical and gains a bonus to attack rolls equal to his charisma modifier, which is 2. So, +2 to attack rolls for 1d6, and it counts as magic. That's probably the more important thing overall, because if we come across a target that can only be harmed by magic, we're quite fucked at this point. And that's how my last party died, if you recall. Blessed weapon would have saved our life. Saved both of their lives. Alternatively, Holy Smite. If you hit with an attack, you can just roll it as a crit. And it's magical, but you can only do it once per combat. Sense Abomination. Pretty situational. I don't even know if we're going up against many undead or, I don't know. Divine Word. You command a creature within close range to carry out an act for up to 1 round. The command must be 3 words or less and cannot directly incapacitate or kill the target. So no suicide. No Dungeon Crawl Classic suicide option, I guess. And a luck will save will negate it. Or a protection, +1 to AC and luck rolls for a whole combat. For me and Bellany. Not bad. Or a vengeance is probably the most overpowered one on the list. The one that I really do need to nerf. It lasts for 2 rounds, extends out to a range of 20 feet from you. All allies within the aura, as well as yourself, gain +1d6 on damage rolls from melee and ranged weapons. This increases to 2d6 at level 4 and 3d6 at level 8. That's the part I really need to drop for sure, but it depends on how many people are with you. It's only 20 feet, so it's hard to cram too many in there. But again, imagine you have just like a little grouping of like 8 elven archers with you. For 2 rounds, they all get +1d6 on their bows, so 2d6 damage from a longbow. It's not like insanely busted or anything, but I do think it's probably the best aura. But Aura of Sanctuary is also pretty obscene. Lay on Hands could be an action to heal for 1d6 +2 right now, or remove a condition affecting them. And that also I have scaling to 2d6 at level 4 and 3d6 at level 8. Which is sort of mimicking the Cure Light Injury, Cure Moderate Injury, Cure Major Injury. That's also really tempting. Aura of Light lasts 1d6 times 10 minutes. 30 feet bright light, which is better than a lantern or torch. Any hostile, evil, or chaotic creatures within the aura take 1 damage at the start of their turn. That one also is pretty obscene, because if you think about going up against a pack of like 8 bandits, I'm pretty sure it counts them as evil or chaotic, right? Or skeletons or something. Where am I? Man, bandit. Does it have... Yeah, chaotic or neutral. 85% of them will be chaotic. So, again, these things only have, like, 2 hit points or 3 hit points. Like, within a few rounds, they're just fucking dead. from your Aura of Light. That's one that I think my brother playing, like, he keeps kind of neglecting and he doesn't think it's that valuable, but I think at lower levels, it is really quite obscene against a lot of the stuff you're going to be fighting. Sure, if you're going one-on-one with, like, you know, a basilisk or, you know, something of that caliber, or an ogre even. And an ogre has, what did we say, like 19 hit points? Yeah, 1 hit point at the start of its turn. It's not really that much. But you go up against 12 skeletons in a little room, you're going to be pretty fucking glad you have that Aura of Light up. Because they're all going to just disintegrate before long. Especially if you, like, turn some of them and they're just, like, cowering in the corner. And just getting zapped constantly by the Aura of Light. I do think that one's really good. But, again, so is Lay on Hands, so is Aura of Vengeance, so is Blessed Weapon. And I think specifically because I don't have a magic weapon and our last 2 characters died because I didn't have one, I'm going to take Blessed Weapon. And that's, Blessed Weapon is always good. It's always going to be a plus 10% chance to hit. And it gets even better if I can somehow get my hands on like a charisma boosting item. So we're going to go with that. Blessed Weapon. +2 to attack. Oh, it's an action. Or is it an action? No. We specifically looked this up. I keep having to confirm this, that it's not an action. No action. It's so insane. Where am I? What am I doing? Yeah. So not a +2 to attack rolls with weapon and magical for 1d6 minutes. Yeah, that'll be damn good. Okay. Now I think we might be done. I think we've done all our purchases. I think we've done all our level ups. We have our mule, we have our cart, we have Trixie. What more do we possibly need in life? I can't really think of anything, so I guess that's it. Okay. I think we're going to get to all Barakus next time then. We'll get into Endhome and blah, blah, blah. Along the King's Road. Always the best road. So what's, like... Okay, so it goes into all of Endhome quite a bit. So it's a, yeah, very city-focused, which is quite a bit different. There's a lot to read. The sewers under the city. Okay, I didn't know it was so city-focused. And then you get into all the different adventures in the city. What is Barakus, then? Or is Endhome the lost city of Barakus? Well, here, then it goes into the wilderness around Endhome. Okay, if we skip forward... Okay, here we go. This is Barakus. Jimmy Dean's tower. What the fuck? Jimmy Dean is an alchemist. Why'd you call him Jimmy Dean? This is a lot here, man. This is a very dense book. there's just like dozens of outdoor locations in the wilderness. Look at that. Look at that hex crawl. Okay. So yeah, so you have Endhome, the big city. That takes up like 38 pages. And then the wilderness around Endhome takes up another like 34 or 5 pages. And then we get to the actual like little mini mega dungeon itself, which takes up another 58 pages or something. Okay, well, we'll get into all that and get into the nitty gritty and all that. I think for an adventure, we're probably going to do this one, Finding Fenton. We're hired to find the missing magic user Fenton, because apparently that's a quest in Endhome and in the city in Endhome, appropriate for any level characters. Provides a link and reason for the players to visit Barakus in search of a lost husband. That all sounds pretty good. So we'll finally get to the Lost City next time after, what was it, 6 videos of preamble? Brilliant. But I'm glad we made it here. My name is Mang. This has been Solo Roll Mangging Tales of Argosa, heading into the Lost City of Barakus. And I'll see you fine folks in the next part.